is time for the grand final of Tribunal number 4. Neblime is getting ready to take on Doglived, and we're going to catch the action live. If you don't want to miss the live part, you're watching this as a VOD later, twitch.tv/pronago, or just check out the YouTube channel when it goes live. You can hop into our Discord server. You'll get annoyingly pinged every time I go live. It's a great time. We are going to be seeing Askosi versus Protoss. Doglived has made it through the Askosi side of the bracket, considering he had to face off against Godwheat in a mirror match in the semifinal. And Smarty was felled by Neblime in his approach to that grand final. So we had some PvP action, mirrors on both sides. Now we know who is going to go where. Doglived and Neblime meeting in the grand finals. And I am very excited about it. They both defeated their underdog 3-1. And so they come in looking on a heater. Let's see who's going to go where, guys, because we have that map veto coming at you. Specifically, we can actually see that it has already begun, and so I guess I'll go ahead and pop it in for you guys. As we see, Gilded Wall and Corrosion have been selected. It was Tesseract and Monazite banned. I can't believe Doglived banned Monazite. Unbelievable. Frozen Sylphid and Macroglia are going to be the two vetoes after that. Macroglia is a pretty good map to ban versus Neblime, but Corrosion picked? That's a bit risky. Impulsion, Quasar Quartet, and then Saberhand if we need a fifth map. All right. That's a pretty exciting one. The fact that Gilded Wall got first picked, the fact that Doglived picked Corrosion against Neblime, a map that he's been really damn good on. I don't know. I mean, if Neblime has a good plan for map 1, he could get up to a 2-0 start very quickly here. Let's see what Doglived has cooking as I get ready to host that first lobby. To it. There you go. Neblime is in the bottom left, our yellow Protoss. Doglived is our Dark Sapphire Askosi. We did have to replay the first game here due to a technical error. However, we already saw some pretty epic stuff. I hope we see some more epic stuff. Just go again, guys. Just redo the same game. It will be a function first for Doglived. So versus Kasuga, he liked to go Radix function. And Neblime has not played against Askosi yet, so we don't really know how he wants to play. But we know how Gerald played against Mixu. Gateway Man into a Cantor. Lot of a Cantors. I think that's a good move. Doglived switching it up with the function into Radix instead of Radix into function. He might have done that one game against Kasuga. I'm finding it difficult to remember. But I think it means that it points towards faster roves, which could mean more harassment, right? I think Neblime will be pretty well insulated and go for the 2-gate here for extra military. Giving him a love tap there. By the way, this version of Gilded Wall is technically the updated one that has the different mineral counts over there. All that really matters, not that it really figured into the other games that were played on this map, but all that it really means is that you just have one less click to do when you're trying to break them out. Look at this guy. He's trying. He's trying to get a little fancy with it. First Legionnaire is going to... Yeah, he's going to spear him a little bit better. He's like, hey, my spear works better than your mining saber, dude. Get out of here. Defeated. Reveals that it was indeed a Legionnaire first, though. Function is now going to finish up. Rove coming, so that is exactly what we expected there. Rove Missionary, I mean, it could be an early timing, but I do feel like Protoss are just going to be better at dealing with this than some of the other races. If you think about it from the perspective of how Zerg has to deal with it, right? Like, if you arrive really fast because you power built the units or something, that's a pretty big boon in favor of the Askosi player. They might not have units up, or they might not have the right kinds of units or something like that. You know, if they went Zeths and you went Rove Missionary or something, you can just kind of annihilate them with a little bit of micro. Obviously, it's not like a super one-sided fight if the Zerg player, you know, sets like a burrow trap or, you know, has like some sort of static defense or whatever, but it's definitely harder than, you know, if you had gone Quaz or something like that. Anyway, going up against the Protoss, they have durable frontline units that take a while for the Askosi to clear through. They have sustain for those frontline units, and they have like a debuff mid-range unit that's going to go ahead and bop you. 4-gate from Neblime. He's going to go very aggressive. But it's also a 3-function build very quickly here. Doglived scaled up his Radix production later on in his games versus Protoss to add more Vicars. So that was a really good situation for him to play it out there that way. Neblime off to the side. And we see what I was talking about in some of Doglived's games against Godwheat. I noticed that he would use the roves to speed everything up. He also did that versus Kasuga. He's very adept at using that to like move small armies across the map, but just a little bit faster. That's one way that you can use the abilities for the Askosi. Now, this is going to provoke Neblime down. I think his army is still pretty good versus this situation, especially when Doglived is just charging up. Now, you can jump out with the roves, but not with the Cardinals. It will go down, and those guys are kind of tanky, but they also provide you with some healing in the middle of combat. This looks like Doglived bit off a little bit more than he can chew. He's going to get another cast off on the little rove ability. He's got Proselyte as well. Scribe has been seeing that there's no expansion this whole time, so Neblime should be feeling pretty confident in this situation. Everything at full HP now. Oh, random pylon there, you know, just to add to the chaos and confusion. You can see Doglived is going to try to focus down individual units, but he misses that Zealot with 9 HP, and Ecclesias gets it back to full immediately. Proselytes are out as well. Doglived has a lot of money. It feels like maybe the moment is overcoming him. He's scrambling a little bit, and he's just going to concede there. Calls GG, realizes that the 600-plus minerals that he had in the bank there was not enough. And that, my friends, is the game one of record. Not the game one we deserve, but the game one we got. Doglived has dropped it. We go to map 2, Corrosion, his map pick. Is our Protoss, our Platinum Blue Protoss in the top left. The Dark Sapphire Askosi in the bottom right is Doglived, opening up with Radix here on Corrosion. Now, Doglived picked this map. Neblime has owned on this map. That being said, his game versus Smarty Cakes in particular kind of reminds me of, you know, like Smarty had opportunities to kind of scout around and try to dismantle him here and there on the map. And if Neblime doesn't get up to his usual antics of controlling the right-hand sides, that can be kind of big. Man, that looks so close to like blocking the landlock, but it is actually valid. It's valid. It's just because the profile of the construction space is kind of wild there. Doglived had some spending troubles in his last game. Did not get up to the radix count that he needed. Was spamming out proselytes, so he didn't even have that many pilgrims, but he was still floating a lot of money. Hopefully he can dial himself in a little bit better now, and it looks like he's going to be going for triple radix. Now, I'm not really sure what the value of the radix down here in the low ground natural is. We're going to have to find out together, because there's a reason for it. 2-gate start for Neblime. He went 4-gate last game and was able to shoulder the incoming attacks pretty easily. In fact, it feels like if Doglived had gone for a more harassment-oriented move instead of just trying to go straight up the main ramp, he probably would have been in a better position. I don't know if that would have meant, you know, a fast Cosmoscope or finding ways to, you know, send units across through the back door or something like that. Maybe if he had kept his Pilgrim in the right spot, that could have been a good move. Something that I you know, I'm sure it's like really obvious that players like could do it, but nobody's actually done it, at least in any games I've seen, is if they kept the Pilgrim like over here. This map doesn't really allow you to do it. Maybe over here, right? Like if you kept your Pilgrim here and your opponent didn't know that your Pilgrim was still in the base, and then you just jump to him with roves, or indeed proselytes, as we have being constructed right now, that could be a really big deal, because then the proselytes could jump in on the Pilgrim, and then they could attack workers, and then the army has to go deal with that, and that lets the missionaries in. There's ways that you can go about attacking the enemy and without needing to go straight up the ramp, and I'm hoping that we get to see some of those ways be developed. Neblime is already starting to claim top right, hasn't actually started harvesting resources there yet. And an initial heckling of the Proselyte Missionary combo is enough for the Hierophant to start to get activated. It doesn't have a lot of armor, so it does feel like this is a pretty reasonable spot. Now, if the Proselyte starts to put down the Islet, and the Islet micros the unit, that's just godlike, you know what I mean? No gas being harvested yet for Doglived, but he is going to go ahead and keep making his Proselyte Missionary combo. Looks like he really wants to try this early rush out, despite the fact that it's resulting in less workers for him. Needs to react really quickly here with the army, though, and he isn't so far. Losing 2 missionaries almost immediately. The Proselyte could jump out, but doesn't. The Zealots are taking so long to actually be dealt with, and he calls it right then and there. GG. Is Doglived out of ideas? Obviously, this is a different look for him in Game 2 than it was in Game 1. It was a different complexion to the army comp, but it's falling flat in the early game, and We're going to need to see more macro defensive play, I think, out of him, or at the very least get into some of that tech. And just like that, blink and you miss it, we're on to Game 3. Neblime, series point. I did say he could maybe get to a 2-0 start with his own map pick of Gilded Wall going his way and Corrosion, a map that he's very, very comfortable on. A hard one for Doglived to fight against, and he had some idea for the early game, but maybe it just didn't quite work. Maybe the micro wasn't quite there. Not entirely sure. Nonetheless, Neblime in the top left is our blue Protoss, and Doglived in the bottom right is our dark sapphire Protoss, and we will see what these two have in store for each other this time around with a function open. We saw that just because Doglived was harvesting gas early. Scribe moving across the map. A gateway having been put down here. All I can think of is what could have been when we had such an amazing start to the series that unfortunately ended in a hash. But Doglived did look up very, very, competent in that situation. He had a lot of moves. He was getting all of the tech going. Then he decided to go for Rushtown, and I'm not sure why. I can kind of understand, stylistically or whatever, if you have to remake due to a tech error, then you just go straight for it, right? You're like, fuck yeah, I'm going to just rush him down. He's not going to expect it. And then he expects it, and then you lose. Okay. But he's not going to expect it a second time. And then he indeed is. So the third function is here, and it is behind the lines over here. So it's going to be hard for the scout to find it, if indeed that is going to be the case. And no more gas is being harvested. I have a feeling this is a rove rush. And, I mean, listen, if it works, because, Doglived is thinking there's no way he expects me to rush 3 games in a row, maybe we will see something happen here in favor of the Askosi. Smarty said in the chat that he would have 3-0'd Doglived, and I don't know if that's the case. He might have just been being a bit of a, just trying to do some John's trash talk or something. Function number 2. Falls off the gas again. Wild. He must have mapped out how many roves he can make on one base production with just minerals, right? So, you only need the gas for the structure itself. Good grief. There's going to be a lot of roves, guys. We know that for sure. Maybe it'll be enough. We don't see that many zealots come out either, so if it takes a while for Neblime to get up to his usual, zealot count, and it's not like Gilded Wall where he's going to have 4 gates, right? He only went the 3 gate. At some point, he'll make a Nexus, most likely. What Doglived could really do, though, is clear the Scribe that's scouting out that he doesn't have an expansion yet. It's fine for him to not have the expansion by now, but he's been doing something with his economy. He's been doing something with his development. So he is going to need to do something to deny the scouting. So steady Pilgrim production, no proselytes just yet, and that's fine by me. Looks like he might be thinking about that expansion after all, with 8 roves now leaving the deck. No, he actually pulls that Pilgrim back. Whatever he had in mind for it, he decided to change it up, and proselytes are coming. It is a committed push. Now, there's a lot of Legionnaires here, and the Hierophants are also going to help out. But I think you're going to see the roves do a little bit better versus all of those guys. Now, the problem is they can't go just a little bit here and there, right? He does need to cycle away as best he can. He's going after the Hierophant, but the Legionnaires are just jumping right on him. He needs to jump out of this situation immediately. He's losing a lot of that momentum, and I feel like we might be falling flat indeed. Doglived calls the GG, and oh my me, 3 rushes in a row did not work out in his favor. That, my friends, is a very difficult pill to swallow for the Askosi enjoyers in the chat. Neblime qualifying with his easiest series of the tournament. Lost a game to Smarty, lost a game to Top Ramen, but did not lose a game to Doglived. It was all rush all the time. Congrats to Neblime for making it in. This does confirm he will play Protoss for another season, since unless he concludes as the champion of Acropolis 4, he will be playing Protoss. And, we got Hit 'em Up, we got Zeke, we might have Oya. There's a lot of players who are participating in the Tribunal stage, or in the main stage of Acropolis, that it's going to be hard for our boy Neblime to make it through. But that is a wrap on the events of the day. And we'll see if Neblime can make good on his promise. I appreciate him sticking to his word nonetheless. Protoss reigns, and Askosi rain blood, I guess. I don't know. Blizzard blood. GG.